good morning. This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor. I woke up this morning and it was so nice and cool out. So I got a cup of coffee, went out onto my back porch, looked out over the woods and the flowers and the trees and the bees and everything else flying around. The weather was nice and cool in the 70s. And I thought, I love this kind of weather because means I can postpone walking into my office and doing some work. And I did. I stayed out there. I stayed out there for a full hour, just relaxing, reading the Twitter feeds, reading email, doing everything right from my back porch. I tell you, it was a good experience. I should do it more and more. In reading the Twitter feeds and everything else, I'm finding that we have a bunch of idiots that just spout stuff out, and they don't really think about what they're saying. I'm thinking about what happened with Trump and the FBI going in and raiding his property. And my conclusion on this whole thing is that this is not about documents, the retrieval of documents for the archives. This is about going in and trying to get anything that they want. Trying to get anything that can drive them back to January 6th. This is not an ethical approach. This is Democrats and those in power trying to use the FBI. And what they're doing is really setting the precedence of dismantling the FBI. Because unfortunately, the FBI has a history of using documents to justify FISA warrants that were based upon lies. And now they have invaded Trump's privacy in his presidential items that he has in his house, just so that they can get to him and see if they can't find something illegal. They have been trying for 6 years now. They have impeached him twice and it did not stick. They tried to sue him. They tried to do everything that they possibly could, but they just could not do it. So they used this fake archive thing that they're missing national security information to go in and raid, to go into Melania's closet and go through her stuff, leaving it in complete shambles, maybe even planting stuff we don't know what's going on, because his attorneys were not able to monitor what was going on. They had to turn off all of the security cameras so that nothing was filmed. The attorney, the magistrate, not even the judge, he's a magistrate, was a former attorney of Lois Lerner of the IRS scandal, was a former attorney of Epstein's pedophile client list. This smells so bad that I'm in South Carolina, I can smell the poop from here. It's strong. So when American people see this, they say, I don't have any faith in the FBI. I have no faith in the Department of Justice. I have no faith in the President of the United States. We're in trouble here. We have a politicized law enforcement arm of the government, using it against political foes, people that they don't believe in. I know for a fact they probably don't believe in anything that I say. I might be on that list. Who knows? You might be on that list. If you've ever said anything bad about Biden or the FBI or the Department of Justice or your local official or maybe your school board, maybe you're on that list of political enemies. most dangerous situation. Now, I must say this. We know it's bad. But you and I, we've got to keep our cools, our mind. We know that in November we can change a little bit of the problem by getting rid of those individuals who have been after and who have been lying and who have been stealing and who have been corrupt in their dealings with the American people. We can get rid of them. Those members of Congress who have raised our taxes, who have increased the size of the Internal Revenue Service by 87,000 more employees, who have spent money on projects that have nothing to do with the American people, who have overspent in sending money to Ukraine. We just sent another billion some odd dollars to Ukraine again through the signing of the checkbook that it appears that Biden has. We can get rid of politicians that are doing harm to the American people. I'm not going to go through the list because that is for you to decide. I have my own list, okay? But you have your own list. You make your own decisions because that's what democracy is all about. Making your own decisions. Making your own choices. But we have got to be very careful about who we choose to service anymore, because right now what we have is taxation without representation. No one's representing us. No one's representing our voices. They're representing their political party voices, but they are not representing us. Just because I say I might be a Democrat or an independent or a Republican does not mean that just because you're obeying what the Republicans say in Washington, D.C., does not mean what you're doing that needs to be done for me here in my district in South Carolina, or your district in Seattle, Washington, or your district in Clemson, Arizona, or Clemson, South Carolina. I don't know what city you're in. But you're not being represented at the moment. You're being taxed, and you're being taxed heavily. And the Democrats have just raised your taxes again. That Inflation Reduction Act is going to raise your taxes again. I don't believe their lies. You are going to be taxed again. Higher. It goes up. Never goes down. It goes up with the Democrats. So we have taxation with that representation. So when we go to the polls, we have to remain calm right now because there's a lot of junk that's going on, a lot of poop that's being spread out there by politicians. You and I have got to keep our minds cool, focused on what the end result is. That is to get rid of politicians who are doing damage to this great nation. That's our responsibility as voters. That's our number one responsibility as voters. The people supported this Inflation Reduction Act, they need to be gone. Because it was a lie bill, I'm telling you. I've read it, I've studied it. It is a lie bill. And with the Trump situation, we've got to remain calm. He has his legal team. I'm sure that they are setting up a good argument to present to the American people and also to the legal entities. I tell you, as I sit here and I'm doing this podcast, I'm looking out onto a beautiful green world, but I know that beyond these words is corruption in Washington, D.C. I know that there's more taxes in Washington, D.C. I know that there's an FBI that may not be as ethical as they should be. And I get frustrated. I get upset. And then today, we are at the point where inflation is at 8.5% again. We have not changed. We're not moving any direction. We have other issues coming in October and November, which is going to be a bad housing market. It's going to be foreclosures on loans. It's going to be more uptick in cars being repossessed. It's going to be more employers laying people off because they can't sustain this economical downturn in the economy. This recession, we are in a recession. We all know we're in a recession. But we're in a situation where we have a corrupt government and we have a weak financial system because of the government. So you and I, we've got some decision making here to do. And we also have our voices. Let your representatives, let your senators know that you are not happy with what's going on. Sometimes we don't use our voices enough. Sometimes we don't go and meet with these politicians when they come to town for home-style meetings. Sometimes we forget to go. We need to start going. We need to start pounding on these politicians. We need to let them know that their spending, their overtaxation, their political agendas isn't working for the American people any longer. And either they start using some common sense of what the American people need, instead of being corrupt politicians, but actually doing their job, representing you and me. Let your voices be known. Raise your voices. Question them. Pound on them. They are working for you. You are not working for them. They work for you. You put them in office, so you have the right to ask the questions and make those questions hard. Not complaints. Don't complain. Ask them direct questions and let them know that that question is very important to you. It's important to your community. It's important to your family. Let them know. And they had better have a good response, because if they don't, if they're just going to give you a blah response, that means they don't care about you. All they care about is the power and the money of Washington, D.C. Remain calm. Don't talk about civil war, because you have the power of your vote. And you've got to use it this November. Use the power of your vote. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. Use your common sense. And know that we have a problem in this country. And you and I, have got to correct it by putting better people in office. No more spin zone. And no more lies. Hold them responsible for what they say and do. If they've voted on bad bills, vote them out of office, because they're going to vote on other bad bills. Let your voice be heard. Ask the tough questions. Demand for accountability. This is Mike Lodge, and I am the Business Advisor. If you would like to have more contact with me, more access to me, go to my website, www.lodge-co.com. I am a professional mediator, and I mediate all kinds of different disputes and conflicts. So if you want to have more access to me there, go and do it. I also do business advisory work. So you have access to me at www.lodge-co.com. I'll talk with you soon. Everybody go out and have a great day. Remember, your vote counts. You are important.